Boop. Welcome to Top Deck City. My name is Grim, and what I have for you today is something a little bit different than an unboxing or a deck tech. So, um, as some of you know, I'm quite the avid Dungeons and Dragons fan. I mean, I play D&D, Pathfinder, Starfinder, all those things. I did used to play them with my friends, and then I moved on to playing them with my kids. And because of my work schedule and just the way like life goes sometimes, I find myself exploring the concept of solo uh, Dungeons and Dragons. Basically, you play D&D by yourself. You have a lot of tools that are out there now because there's a lot of people that got involved with this because of the pandemic, and prior to that too, just people who just couldn't find a play group or couldn't find the right people to play with. And so I thought it would be neat because uh, Wizards of the Coast owns both Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. If there was some kind of way to combine these two things into one game, I had talked this over with my friend Mark, and we actually came up with a cool concept, which was to buy a box of Jumpstart. Step one. Then you crack open two packs of Jumpstart, and this kind of gives you like your deck that your character would be playing. So the concept is that your D&D character is also a Magic the Gathering duelist, planeswalker, whatever, and so they carry a Magic deck to play within the game. So they're playing a game of Magic within the game of Dungeons and Dragons. And one of the beautiful things about Wizards of the Coast here is they've released two, as far as I know, they've released two campaign settings. First was this one, which was the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and then they came out with the Mythic Odysseys of Theros. But prior to both of these books, they released PDFs, and the PDFs were kind of fascinating because they gave you access to a bunch of other planner locations that were, they didn't have manuals for it, but they had sort of rules for it. Those being Kaladesh, Amonkhet, Innistrad, Dominaria, Ixalan, and Zendikar. And then Forgotten Realms is already a setting. So, yeah, that was kind of neat when Magic, released a D&D set. Now all of the D&D stuff in relation to Forgotten Realms isn't necessarily canon, but if you are a Magic player and want to play in Forgotten Realms, this concept that Mark and I came up with, it kind of works. Um, so yeah, Theros, for example. All right, so one of the cool things about these PDFs, all they really give you is they give you the playable races. So, for example, Kaladesh, the playable races are Aetherborn, Dwarf, Elf, Vidalcan, and Human. Ixalan, you have Merfolk, Vampires, Orc, Goblin, Siren, and Human. Dominaria, you have access to Aven, Elf, Half-Elf, Dwarf, Orc, Goblin, Minotaur, Vampire, and Human. Innistrad, there's only four humans, but the four humans are based off of their location in the Innistrad plane. So it's Gavani, Kessig, Nephalia, and Stenzia. Amonkhet gives you Avens, Kenra, which are like the hyena people, Minotaurs, Naga, and Human. And then, Theros gives you Centaur, Minotaur, Satyr, Leonin, Triton, and Human. The Tritons are just merfolk, but with two legs instead of a fishtail. And then Ravnica gives you Elf, Centaur, Goblin, Minotaur, Simic Hybrid, Loxodon, Vidalcan, and Human. Oh, and I forgot Zendikar. Zendikar gives you Core, Merfolk, but they're Merfolk with two legs, so they're kind of Tritons, statistically anyway. Vampire, Goblin, Elf, and Human. So anyway, back to this concept here. So character creation, I think, is always more fun when done randomly. it's okay to have an idea for a character, and and not everybody is super creative. So they have that one character that they want to play, and that's the character they play, and that's fine. But in my circle of friends, we get bored of playing the same character over and over again, and it's the same is true for my daughter. Like she just can't play one character for that long. So what I started to do here was and Mark did this as well, is we cracked open 2 Jumpstart packs to give us a character concept. So here I have Rogues and Doctor. And what I did was we had these we made these goofy little charts that have what plane the character is from and then what race the character is, and then kind of worked off of that. So this character is from Ravnica, and is a human. Very very exciting. I chose this miniature because we chose the character class based off of what the Jumpstart packs revealed, and I thought a Doctor Rogue is a very cool concept for an Orzhov representative. So she is a cleric. I got her character sheet here that I already made up. So yeah, her name is Katya Zolotov. She's a level 1 cleric. She's human. She is lawful evil, and her background is Orzhov representative. And the fun thing about the Ravnica book is it really lets you go and explore the guilds, and people who play Magic know these guilds pretty well. Orzhov being like the Church of Ravnica, that is very corrupt. They kind of worship like gold over a lot of other things. There are like spirits that somewhat haunt that area of Ravnica and either pester or help the initiates and members of the Orzhov Church. I believe the rulebook gives you like 3 options for Orzhov. I think there's like a cleric, like an enforcer, and an advocist. So you basically got a cleric, wizard, and melee class, probably a fighter or something, to play as. Not saying you couldn't be the other classes. It's just those are the ones they recommend. And statistically, when I rolled her up, I got that whopping strength of 5. So I knew she wasn't going to be a fighter. I had the cool mini already because I love miniatures, so I collect them like crazy. And so yeah, I settled on cleric. And she's a human, so she gets the standard human bonuses of +1 to each stat. So I got the 14 dexterity, 16 constitution, 11 intelligence, 18 wisdom, and 16 charisma. All of which were just rolled and then placed. But this was where I think some of the fun parts of D&D, the 5th edition, is where this whole like personality, ideals, bonds, and flaws. I rolled these randomly as well because I thought this would be kind of like a way to create this character without having to put a lot of thought into it. So her personality trait is, I am always willing to act in accordance with the financial incentive offered. So she really cares about money. Her ideals are, one day I will be giving the orders. So she wants to move up the ranks of the clergy in the Orzhov Church. Her bond, which was a long one, was, I want to prove myself more worthy than an older sibling and thereby ensure that I inherit a greater share of my parents' wealth. So she has a sibling of some kind, which I have to put more thought into and figure that out. And then her flaw is, I'll brave any risk if the monetary reward is great enough, which I think is an awesome, awesome flaw for an adventurer. So she's the kind of character that has no problem, getting her hands dirty as long as the reward is worth it. One of the neat things about the Orzhov, characters is they have an ally, and a rival, and then a non-Orzhov ally that gets chosen for them. Of course, I did this randomly as well. So Her ally is a silent spirit, follows me around. So I thought that was kind of a neat concept where there is a spirit within the Orzhov Church who maybe is an ancestor or even a dead sibling or something, like a younger sibling who follows her around and is an ally. So could potentially be helpful. And I feel like from a role playing standpoint that adds a lot to the character. Her rival is an older cousin, has an ear of a powerful oligarch. So this is a very interesting thing is that her ideal is that she wants to move up the ladder here in the clergy, but she has a cousin who is trying to stop that because this cousin is her rival. So maybe they are, vying for the same position within the clergy, and there's only one spot available, and this cousin has a powerful person that they can manipulate to get their way. And then this, I didn't write the whole thing out, but it's a non-Orzhov ally. Her life was saved at one point by a Boros paladin to her shame. I didn't write that whole thing out, but I thought that was a really funny little role-playing addition they added into the Ravnica guidebook as far as making the characters and giving them a lot of personality. So yeah, so I'm excited to play this character. The Orzhov have this neat ability where they can kind of they have this ability called leverage, where depending on what their rank is within their organization, they can kind of bully lower ranking people to do stuff for them. So if I'm thinking for her first adventure, which will be, a random solo adventure, I might have a bunch of underlings that she is bullying into the dungeon for her because her strength, that strength of 6 is just brutal. I mean, she's tough. She could take a hit. She got 11 hit points, but I think that she's not going to be very combat effective. I mean, she's got Sacred Flame as a cantrip. I gave her Sanctuary and Cure Light Wounds as her two first level spells that she uses most often. So she's definitely a healer, definitely about that self preservation. But I think I'll have fun rolling up some first level warrior fighters, enforcer guys that she's gonna bully into doing stuff for her to go and get some loot from a dungeon. And speaking of dungeons, so as I was saying earlier, there's a lot of tools out there for people who just want to play solo dungeons. And here is one that I had picked up maybe about 2 years ago. I saw it. It was advertised on Facebook. I saw it, and I thought it was kind of a neat concept. So this is a deck of many dungeons. And so just to give you a rough idea, I'll show you some of the cards. So you have these, I think these are the objective rooms. These big ones here. Or maybe these ones are the entrances. I forget exactly. It does come with instructions. But one of these is an entrance. One is like an objective room. I think the kings, maybe the queens, are the objective rooms. But yeah, so I'll just go to a random one here. So you got this 7 here. It tells you how many monsters are here. So there's D6 plus the player character's level, and you roll on this chart. I guess it would be 2D6, and to see what you get, and then it shows you the room, and gives you some information on it. So you can. So as a dungeon master, you can use this stuff to create a random dungeon. But as a solo player, you have no control over this. So it's like, okay, I go into this room or whatever. I open the lock if I can, and then it's like, oh, what's in here? So we got 2d6. So it's 10. So that would be one ogre zombie or a grick. And so I would just roll. Let's see, odd would be ogre, even would be grick, and I got even. So it would be a grick. So I would put one of those, in the room. I'd draw the room out, and then I'd, play out the fight. It also gives you some neat stuff here, where it gives you like a random table for like meeting random male and female PCs and what classes they are, and then a item table as well. But yeah, so essentially, you can build this dungeon, you know, however you want. I think there are some like rules as far as like how to like set it up, so you don't get like boxed in. So I'll probably reread that before I attempt to go into this dungeon. And then the other things that like you can look up. There's tons of solo stuff online. There are because just going through a dungeon isn't D&D. You want some role playing. You want some like problem solving, some mystery, and so these things are a little bit trickier to come across when you're playing. But the information is out there online. Uh, if you're looking hard enough for it, you can definitely find it. There's some people who charge money for like I think it's like a drive-through RPG for like some solo adventures, but there's just some free PDFs. They're like little one shots that you can do. At some point I think I'd actually like to record a solo play session just to kind of give an idea of how it works, just because I think it's kind of fun and I like the randomness of it. So yeah, so that's Katya, my Jumpstart character. The other idea here is that throughout the adventure, so this would be her magic deck, this rogues and doctor deck. By the way, the rare cards I got were Gonti, Lord of Luxury, and Rock's Faithmender. So no, oh, actually I got two rares here. I got Thieves Guild Enforcer as well. So no bombs per se, but very cool cards to play with. And one of the aspects I want to incorporate into this is a deck building aspect. So as I play this character in a solo dungeon, and as I accumulate wealth and experience and stuff like that, and when I find treasure, I'm hoping to just, if I find a card that I can relate to a magic card, then I may put it into the deck and slowly but surely build a commander deck for her. I've already gone ahead and made a custom magic card to represent her. I don't have it printed out or made yet, but the general concept is she is a 3-mana 2/2 human cleric with lifelink, and she has when she enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 spirit token, which is her ally, that spirit that follows her around. And then whenever one or more creatures you control attack, she creates a treasure token. So she can only create one treasure token per combat, and if she enters the battlefield, she gets the spirit. So that's going to be her commander card when I get around to it, to making an actual card. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is my like what if Dungeons and Dragons and Magic were a thing, and you could play Magic within D&D itself. Mark and I, we're going to try and like duo this thing and see if this is actually a viable game to be played, and I'll come back with results on that once we get around to it. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.